Dave knows how.
So instead of going through all of that measuring and scribing lines and grinding out of metal and bending metal, the easier way to do it may be to use some exhaust clamps. And so I picked up these two to fit on here, and they're just a close fit, okay? They didn't have the exact fit I wanted, but this will work. So let's, well, drop that one on the ground. Let's break this one open. And we'll go ahead and let's see, this one we're going to put right here, and for the time being we're going to put it close up against the cylinder. When we have this thing actually mounted on here in use, it's going to be back here, far away from the cylinder. But for right now, we're going to put it right up against the cylinder. Let me reach down here and get this other clamp. Now, what we can do now is take our measuring tool and we can measure right there. And so we're measuring off the flat of this to the outside of this to see what we got. And we know that if we want our rod to run up on top of there, we need to elevate that rod up off of here that distance. So we can cut a piece of shim stock to go right here to put our rod against and weld our rod against. And running the rod up and down here with nothing here would be fine. We will be able to see where the edge of the rod is in reference to the edge of the cylinder. But if you want to put something else on there, we can build something out of another exhaust clamp. So we can take this exhaust clamp, put it on here, now with this like this, with this clamp here and this clamp here, now we got a situation where our rod needs to come up on top of this piece of metal. So we need to remeasure, and we need to measure from this flat surface here up to the top of this round piece right here. So right around in there. So we've got that measurement. And so basically that means that we need a piece of shim stock to put against this flat piece to elevate this up, and then weld our rod onto that height so that it doesn't interfere with that. And then we can put another piece of metal on the outside of here to go around and create a hoop that rod can go up inside of. So this is an option to make this rather than going through the fabricating that we went through to do the original one that I had on here. And the original one that I had on here held up really good. Didn't have any problems with it. Worked flawlessly. The only time I really ran into a problem was somebody left a comment and wanted me to do a video showing how I made it, and when I went to do the video to show how I made it, I decided that I would take it off and make another one. And I took it off and I had it sitting somewhere and it got stepped on. So it got broke. But other than that, it held up really good, other than it didn't hold up to me stepping on it. So anyway, we're going to make one out of these two clamps to go up there. And I'll show you what the finished product's going to look like. And voila. This is what it will look like when it's finished. We've got it inside this round hoop because if we jack up this side over here to put whatever implement is on the back on an angle, it's going to rotate this around, and this needs to be able to rotate inside of here. So we could have left this outside hoop off and just had this piece on there and just referenced this rod in relation to this hoop, but it makes it a little bit easier to see when you've got that hoop on the outside. So now we'll find the neutral position of the box blade, and we'll just put a black magic marker line on this rod, wherever that is, lined up in relation to this. Then we can look back from the seat and look down here and see where that's at. And this doesn't necessarily have to be right here. Could be on the other side of here. So long as the rod is long enough that when you retract this all the way out, it doesn't come out of the hoop, which even if it came out of the hoop, it'd probably go right back in there. Anyway, that's it. Let's get on to making it. So we're over here at the bender, and we're just gonna, we got our 1/4 inch round stock steel rod. We're gonna put this in the bender. We got about a 2.5 or 3 inch die in here, and we just need to bend a hoop. Got it down in there nice and flat. We're gonna try to bend a hoop right on around, keep going, keep going, keep going. We'll bend it a little further than we need because it's gonna spring back. And we'll probably have to make it a little bit wider, but we got a nice bend right here. And I know it's too long. We're gonna cut this off here and here, and we'll use these pieces for something else in the project. I'll show you that in the middle, but it looks pretty straight. No dog leg to it, I don't think. So let's take it around there and hack it up and weld it in place, show you what this is gonna be for. Okay, so we got this part that goes to the 1.5 inch one, and we've got it mounted up on here. We went out there to the tractor and we measured, and we found out that we needed a piece of shim stock 3/4 of an inch long. So we cut a piece, just a piece of round stock, and it's a little over 3/4 of an inch, and that should give us enough clearance to get up and over the curved part that's on the, you know, the big section. So we need, the first thing we need to do is weld this onto this part, which is the smaller one of these. So we're going to weld that piece on there, and then this is going to be our indicator rod that's going to run back and forth. Once we get this welded on, we're going to weld this on. We've put a brick here and some elevation so that we can elevate the end of that thing. We just kind of took a measurement off the top of this table. Should be close enough. Came up with that measurement, and then came over here and set enough shim stock up to get us just right around that measurement. I mean, we're within 0.010 of an inch, so that's plenty good. So we're gonna set this on there and set it on top of here and weld it in place after we get that welded. So let's get busy and get this thing welded up. this piece of shim that we cut, it's 3/4 of an inch tall, it's really thick, and the piece that we're welding it to is really thin, so we threw a lot of heat into that thick piece so that hopefully, you know, the filler rod would get on up in there pretty good. We threw a lot of heat in there before we started heating up that bottom piece, so now we gotta try to get this off here without dropping it in my lap and burning the dog crap out of me. And then this piece is gonna set right across here. And I probably should have put a flat on it. It seems to want to roll. I guess it's, you know, eyeball good enough, I guess. Anyway, that's probably gonna roll on me. Let's see here. Yeah, she came up in the air a little bit. It was a little higher than what I wanted it to, but I think once we get it welded in place, we can bend it back down a little bit if we need to. If we can get him a little straight. Let's see if we can get him tacked up in place. Probably should clean this tungsten, but too lazy. Well, I definitely got to clean the tungsten now because I really contaminated it. But that still may be enough right there to hold that in place. And then we can come over here and reclamp it. Let's see what we can do with it. Yeah, we clamp him like that now, and we can go ahead and weld that up. But I think I need to clean this tungsten up a little bit. Good enough. Good enough. Okay, so we'll let that cool down. Then all we gotta do is clean it up, spray paint it, it'll be done. All right, let's let it cool down. Okay, so let's do a quick overview. Okay, so this is the exhaust clamp with the hoop on it. This is the hoop that we bent on the bender around the back, and we cut it off, and we took two short pieces and stuck in between and welded it up. This was the first piece that we was welding in the video. I know it was kind of hard to see. You know, just not great lighting in the shop, so hard to get the camera positioned right to get the best view, but you get the idea. This is probably an easier way to build this thing than the way that I did it before. So it turned out real nice. You know, painted it red because red contrasts with black a little better. So painting it red, you know, it's kind of a universal color. Could go on any tractor, John Deere, New Holland, whatever, Kubota, doesn't really matter. Massey Ferguson, it would probably blend in a little bit with the Massey Ferguson because they're kind of red, but it would still, you know, look decent on any one of those. So the thing you have to look for, this is a 2 1/4 inch exhaust clamp. It just happens to fit on the outside of that hydraulic cylinder. Not all hydraulic cylinders are created equal, so some of them are a little bit wider. I just started a video doing a tilt link for a tilt cylinder, and that cylinder outside diameter is larger, and this 2 1/4 will not fit on there. I had to actually go up to I think it was a 2 1/2 or a 2 3/4 inch to actually fit around the outside of that cylinder. But that's basically how it turned out, how it's made. It's very nice. This is the indicator rod, and when you're looking at the video, this is the rod that we welded on last. And this piece right here, this is the piece of shim that we welded on there that's 3/4 of an inch tall. Okay, and this is, you know, whatever size stock I had, 1/2 inch I think, or a little smaller. And we just welded it right on top of this flat piece and then welded the rod right on top of it. And this makes for a pretty decent rod. Now the measurements that we took was when this was mounted to the rod and this was mounted to the cylinder, we needed to measure to make sure this rod was going to hit in between these two pieces of metal like that, so it would travel in here, and that's what we was measuring for. So it turned out fits very nicely, as you could see. But anyway, just wanted to kind of give you a little bit closer look at the difference. Now this is the one that we cut out of metal, formed and bent over. Works great, not a thing wrong with this method of doing it. It just requires a little more math. You know, you have to measure your rod that this is going to mount to, or your cylinder, and then calculate in for the thickness of both of these sides to lay out the holes for this to be drilled in, and then your elevation has to be laid out correctly so that when you bend this up, this lands in here as well, and it does. But it's just more math involved and grinding and bending metal, and that's, you know, time consuming. I think this way with the exhaust clamps, maybe a little easier to do. Anyhow, these were just, I wouldn't say rush through to make, but you know, we made it, we got it over with and done with. Shot a little paint on it, and it is what it is. Don't really have a use for these two. If you would like to enter into a giveaway, and maybe we can give these away. Maybe we can give this away to somebody that can use it. If you have a hydraulic top link that this will fit on, measure your top link. See what you got. See if a 2 1/4 will fit on the big part. And this was 1.5 inches, I believe, and it should fit on the rod as it goes in and out. And if this looks like it'll fit on yours and you want to be entered into a contest to win this thing, leave a comment in the comment section. If we get enough people interested in this thing, you know, I'll pick a random winner and I'll mail it out to you, and you can put it on your tractor and try it out. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter to me. This one right here could actually be put on somebody's, I mean, I could send this out. You really don't need this hoop end. You could actually mount this on there and just line this up with the end of the cylinder for wherever level it's going to be. So, you know, it is what it is. You guys can leave me a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think of that idea. You know, if we get enough people interested that want, you know, that would like to have this extra one that I built, you know, we'll give it away to somebody. How's that sound? Thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel. We don't flood with videos on a daily or even a weekly basis, but we try to make a video every now and again that has some core value, some real value. And I think that a lot of you guys out there are pretty handy, have welding machines. You could actually build this yourself and would be an enjoyable project to build. Again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.